What's going on, everybody? This is Wayne's Fish World, and this week I want to talk about balancing pH, ammonia, oxygen, and CO2 in your aquarium. There's a lot of different balance points in the aquarium. No two systems are the same. I say this all the time. You need to learn your system, not the hobby. That is the best advice I can give to any beginner or any intermediate or any expert out there, is to learn your system, not the hobby. Take the hobby, the rule book, as guidelines, but you need to learn how to add pages to that book. And that's a different topic we're going to talk about in the future. But what I mean by pH, ammonia, CO2, and oxygen balancing each other. I'm going to start off by talking about CO2 and oxygen. CO2 will lower the pH of your aquarium water. Now, on the other hand, oxygen will raise the pH of your aquarium water. Right off the bat, someone's going to say, well, when I put an air stone or air pump on my aquarium, does that mean that the pH is automatically going to go up? Well, you got to think. Air pumps do not generate pure oxygen. They don't generate pure CO2. If they did, then a lot of tank people would have air pumps on their aquarium a lot more often. Air pumps use the atmospheric air, meaning a mixture of gases, and they inject it into the aquarium. Now, yes, the main point of an air pump is to disturb the surface of the water. That way you get surface agitation and oxygen exchange or gas exchange. Now, very tiny, those bubbles that are passing through the water column are slowly dissolving. So the smaller the bubbles and the longer you can keep that water in contact with the smaller the bubbles and the longer you can keep those bubbles in contact with the water means that them bubbles will dissolve, pushing those gases in the aquarium. Now, the atmosphere is made of tons of gas, and it's mostly nitrogen, oxygen, and CO2 and other gases. But oxygen and CO2 play hand in hand. When your fish breathe, they produce ammonia. When they exhale, they produce ammonia. When they exhale, they produce CO2. So right off the bat, that's feeding the nitrogen cycle, and it's slightly lowering the pH. In a planted aquarium, plants absorb that CO2 and push out oxygen. They produce oxygen in photosynthesis, meaning when your lights are on, the plants will actually take in those toxins, such as, we're going to call CO2 a toxin, but it's not really. So when those lights are on, your plants will actually absorb those nutrients and push out oxygen. They're going to take in nitrogen. They're going to take in fertilizers. They're going to take in CO2 and go through photosynthesis and release oxygen. When your lights go off or when nighttime comes, the plants push out CO2 that they're not using anymore or converting. So what does it have to do with pH and ammonia? Well, there's two types of ammonia. There's ammonia, which is deadly to fish. Even the slightest bit of ammonia will kill your fish. You don't want any ammonia in your aquarium. You want the readings to be closest to zero as possible. Then you have ammonium. Ammonium is a less toxic version of ammonia. It is very safe for fish, but it is not recommended to have in your aquarium. A lot of people watching right now have ammonium in your aquarium, and you don't realize it. Is ammonium bad? No, it's just a broken down state of ammonia. Some people consider ammonium to be less toxic than nitrates with an A. So we know that CO2 lowers the pH of the water, correct? But also, when the pH lowers, it takes that ammonia and binds it and turns it into ammonium, a less toxic version of ammonia. When the pH rises, on the other hand, it can take that ammonium that's binded. I don't know if you've ever heard someone say that, ammonia that's binded in the water column. That's what they're talking about. That ammonia or ammonium that's binding together in low pH states, when that pH rises, that ammonium turns into ammonia. And that just the slightest bit of it can kill your fish. So how do you prevent these things? Well, preventing a pH swing isn't tricky, but even established aquariums can have pH swings. Saltwater people have definitely picked up on this and they've adapted to it. Most of the time you don't have sumps on freshwater aquariums. With African cichlids, you can run wet-dry trickle filters or something like that, and that's great. But the saltwater people on the other side of the world, they have sumps and refugiums, and they keep a light going on there on a reverse photo period of their main display. That way that light is keeping the pH stable. Now why does it do that? Well, I'm not going to get too scientific into it, but let's just say that it helps keep a balance. There's phytoplankton and algae in the water column, and like I said, it's very complicated. We're not going to get into that in this video, but it keeps it balanced. So I don't know if you guys noticed yet, but behind that Rotala wallachai and Rotala nitrogen sand colony, I've got an air pump running. I've got a Whisper, I don't know. It's a Whisper pump. I think it's a Whisper 60. And somebody's going to say that they're loud. Well, yes, I can hear it. You might be able to hear it. I don't care. I don't spend all my time down here. But I'm doing a little bit of experimentation. I have 0 phosphates in this aquarium, 0 nitrates, 0 nitrites. When I test the water, I'm getting off the chart ammonia. I've been contemplating this on why, and I have a feeling I know why. This pH is 6.0, meaning all that ammonia is turning into ammonium. I had a pH increase. It went to 7.5. I tried introducing ballast sharks again to this 125 gallon, and 2 times trying, the ballast sharks died sadly. I know, it's horrible. So I'm trying to figure out my system and not the hobby. My pH went back down, and I know the ammonia is turned back to ammonium. Here's the thing. If my ammonia was off the charts in reality, why are my angelfish still alive? Now I know people are going to say angelfish are bred more in captivity, they're durable, they're hardy. I don't care. If you take a gallon of ammonia cleaner and just start drinking it, you're going to die. And it's the same thing in respect to the fish. If they have that ammonia in their water column, then the slightest bit of it can be toxic and will kill them. My fish are not showing signs of high ammonia. Signs including heavy breathing, panting, constant back and forth waving of the fins, ammonia burning, their fins being torn up for no reason, scales looking odd, fish being lethargic and not acting as normal. They're all acting fine. So my thing is, if you guys have noticed, I used to have a lot more fish in this aquarium. Where'd they all go? This guy right here, this blue angelfish from KG Tropicals with John. I'm not blaming John, it's just every fish has his own personality. This guy was in the tank with other angels in the past. He went psycho and killed everything. And then when everything died, he killed his pair. He killed his, the female angelfish that he was paired up with. I left him in isolation for a couple months in the 125 gallon by himself. And I started feeling brave again, and I started introducing new angelfish. Luckily, he's taken very kind to him. I think he likes having people in his aquarium again. I think he likes having cohabitants in his aquarium again. Here's the thing. I put the ballast sharks in there twice. I've sat around, watched them when the lights were out. And I've noticed that the angelfish weren't really noticing the ballast sharks. They were getting along fine. But the second the lights come on, the ballast sharks would look extremely roughed up. not damaged with their fins, but their body would be covered in white, almost mucus-looking covering, even on their eyes, in a matter of hours. And I thought maybe the angelfish are harassing the ballast shark so much that they're stressing out and dying very quickly. So I'm at the point in my aquarium where I'm kind of at a standstill. I kind of want to add more fish in here. I really want ballast sharks again. But until I can figure this out, it's kind of... it's tempting to put new fish in the aquarium, but until I can figure this out, it's futile to introduce any new fish because everything's just going to die if the test kits are right. Now, the reason I'm running an air pump on my 125 is because I want to know what's going on. Is my beneficial bacteria that consumes ammonia and turns it into nitrates, the reason I'm running an air pump is because I want to know if my beneficial bacteria that consumes ammonia and turns it into nitrates, is that somehow depleted? So what I'm doing is adding the air pump to get more dissolved oxygen. Yes, like I said before, it's also introducing CO2, nitrogen, and other gases in our atmosphere. But it's also introducing a far more greater quantity of dissolved oxygen. And at about a week, I'm going to test my water. If the ammonia levels haven't dropped, then I know oxygen isn't the problem. Now, I believe the test kit is actually reading ammonium, because I think the first indicator of the test kit actually converts that ammonium into ammonia, so you get a reading. If that's true, then it would make sense. But then again, when I introduce those ballast sharks, why are they dying? When I had them in their container acclimating, very slowly, they seemed fine. When I first introduced them in there, monitoring them, they seemed fine. When I walk away, the lights come on, they seem extremely ill. So, my thing is, when the lights are off, the CO2 is coming on, the pH is dropping. When the lights come back on, oxygen is being produced, and it will slightly raise the pH. So I've got an air pump right now, so hopefully this is going to keep my oxygen levels higher, even at night. And even with that going, I don't see any damage on the angelfish. It's very confusing. And, I do consider myself to be an expert, but this one's got me puzzled. It's very, very, very... It's like a picture. It's like a piece of the puzzle is missing. I've got all these pieces, but those linking pieces aren't there. And I have to learn more about my system. I've been thinking about making a video about everything different about my aquarium than the standard aquarium. But if you guys have any ideas, drop it in the comments below. Let's engage this in the aquarium so we can address this and learn. And once I figure it out and test it, run test, and once I come up with new hypotheses and run controlled tests, then I'll share my information with YouTube. But until then, I don't want to preach anything that's false. But to sum it up, guys, oxygen increases pH. CO2 lowers it. When the pH drops, ammonia binds and turns to ammonium. When the pH is higher or rises, that ammonium unbinds and turns back into ammonia. So that's the thing. If my CO2 levels gradually increase, then I know that CO2 will lower the pH and keep that ammonium So guys, in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. Very confusing topic. Like I said, if you got any info or any experience like this, let me know, because even though I know a lot, I don't know everything. Comment, rate, and subscribe, guys. If you like this video, definitely share it and show the support below. I'll see you guys next week at the same time with a new video. Comment, rate, and subscribe. Later.